Cool. So we have such a special treat for everyone today. Just a reminder before we get rolling. I appreciate everybody's response and hit me up and all that on the financial due diligence video. We've got like 2 more hours before that comes down and becomes Patreon only. And I've got some other cool things coming up for you, Patreon. So welcome. And but what I want to do is number one, so just as a acknowledgement, we got 2 more hours that video is going to be available. But I want to quickly talk about Good Merger, and then I want to bring on a special guest. I can't remember. I haven't had a guest on this thing in years, I feel like, because most of the time I'm just popping on. I have a few minutes, try to give you all some value, to give you a little bit of training, and then I'm out. And so, it's just been a long time since I actually coordinated. And this week we have two very, very special guests. One is Andrew, who's going to pop on in a sec, and he is a part of the Good Mergers company. The other is Curtis. He went through the very first PEFI and is doing some amazing things with Dealmakers Institute. So I wanted to have both of them on and kind of see what they've been up to. So let's get rolling. Andrew is just a very talented young man. If you saw the title, very proud of him. Had an amazing beginning of the year, just killing it, getting deals closed on the broker side, getting a lot of deals and financing done for clients as well. And so I thought it'd be fun to bring him on. We'll talk a little bit about his background before getting into any of this, which, isn't terribly long. He's a young guy, but also just the interest. That's one of the things that I think is really cool. So let's bring him up. What is up, sir?
What's up, Ace? So thank you for having me here.
Man, it's great to have you. It's great to have you. You're in demand. I talked a little bit about what you've been up to in a previous video as we opened up 4 spots for the new 4 people in Good Merger that you've gotten to interact with. But I think what's really cool, by the way, I think we've got to, I'm getting feedback. I think we've got to, let's see. Which, are you using a mic or are you using the computer?
The computer.
Okay.
Let's see. If you want.
I'm going to mute you just while I'm talking, and then I'll unmute when you start talking.
I got it.
All right. So one of the really cool things was, the whole Good Merger process was kind of organic. Andrew has been with Financier Bank and been helping out on some of those deals. And, just over the past 2 years, I've been talking a lot about how COVID and some of the other economic things that have happened have sped up the number of baby boomers that are needing to sell their businesses. So we have moved. I still get a lot of questions on internet-based businesses. But, unfortunately, and I was just talking to my man, Mike, shout out to Mike, looking at a FBA deal. And, I did so many of those deals, so I still get a lot of deal flow. And so we can still represent, or we can help people sell those. But when it comes to really the focus, there's just too much opportunity in the offline space right now. Too many deals. As Andrew knows, we just did a deal that's at a little over 1 multiple. That was unheard of. And so what I realized is that there are definitely too many deals for us to close, but we're getting all this deal flow in. And that was originally kind of the birth of Good Merger was, we can still help these sellers of these other businesses exit. And we work with a lot of buyers. We have, 6 funds that have gone through the private equity fund incubator. We have, many more people that have gone through Dealmakers Institute. And we just are in this position to be able to help them get financing, which we're already doing through Financier Bank, and help them find the deals and close those deals now through Good Merger. So it's really cool. But the reason that I feel like Andrew has been successful and will continue just to kill it is because of his interest in this space. I think there are a certain number of people that find investment banking and Wall Street and all of that fascinating. And most people, just because we're never taught it and never exposed to it, don't think that we're able to do those things at a Main Street level. And I think it takes a certain level of passion for providing those types of services that ends up leading people to a lot of success. I think that's what we've got even with these first four, and what we want to find with the next four. So what I want to start out with you, Andrew, is number one. A little bit just about your background, and then I want to get into what got you interested and passionate about this concept of becoming an investment banker.
So good question. So my background is I went to college for about 8 months, to a year. I started my first business when in college.
So you got to stop there. You got to stop there because that's a big debate. So everybody we're in this mode where things are obvious that people are changing, and you don't need a degree as much. But what was that like just making the decision to leave college and then just with family and all of that?
Yeah.
What did that look like?
But that choice wasn't too hard. It was definitely hard on our family. But I think I just knew that there had to have been better out there rather than what I was doing. And so that took me down a path of marketing and dropshipping and things like that. And this was, say, back in like 2018. So this was back when that was kind of becoming a bit more popular. So, but yeah, so I made that jump, and it was a big jump, and I really went deep into books, into reading, into personal development, alongside of business. So I think that was a big catalyst that eventually led down to really learning about the fact that it's awesome to work with a client, but there came a point where I was like, I wonder if we can buy them out, or I wonder if we can own them instead of work with them as a client. And that, of course, led down a path with private equity, buying businesses, and also brokering too. So, we're on mute. Yeah.
Let's take a step back. So when you were running that business, what was it? Were you just looking at other businesses? Like, what made you click?
Yeah.
Interesting things for me is most people, I don't advertise. And so most people end up here because they're interested in private equity. So what was it that clicked for you that made you realize, okay, trying to start this business sucks. How can I, skip this process, or what was that process like?
Yeah. So when I first started, so my first business was in marketing. So I was working with a handful of coaches and speakers in the personal development space. And I was in charge of really focusing on with a brand, I guess, and finding like different ways that we can grow it, expand it. And that led me down a path of finding out about different companies like Procter and Gamble and places like that where they owned every top brand in the market, and I was like, all right, so they must have must have started every business here, and
Yeah.
so I started to research them, and it turns out that they didn't start every business,
Yeah.
you know, but they bought them. And so then I was like, okay. And so then that took it going and going, and that's really where it started. When I found out that not every brand was started, but it was, what it bought eventually. And so,
Yeah. So then you obviously you joined the program, you joined Dealmakers Institute first, and
right.
you kind of went through that process. And one of the things that I thought was really cool was you pretty quickly realized, man, there's probably this opportunity within brokering. So we started talking about just brokering, and I remember, some of those initial conversations. And so, what was that shift like? So, obviously focused on, I'm going to go buy a business, and then you realize, like, I can go and broker those deals. Was it a money kind of motivation? Was it, kind of seeing this investment banking services or merger specialist services? What triggered that?
Yeah, I would say it was probably money, but the other part I can say is I really wanted to understand what it was like in the process of the buyer and the seller, and I thought there wouldn't be a better way for that than to be right there in the middle of it, you know. So that was the thing in there. I can
Yeah,
find a seller, and then I can help find like a buyer, and then just put those two together, and I would have a way better understanding of like this business too. So
I love it. Let me take a break real quick and tell folks, be sure you're liking the video. Andrew took some time. Also like that shirt, Andrew, and you got the good
yeah,
merch shirt
good,
on.
good merger.
But yeah, be sure to like the video. If you're not subscribed, subscribe, hit that notification bell, so you can get notified on some of these lives. And feel free to put any questions. We'll run through a few questions before we let Andrew out of here. So, what was that initial thing? I think one of the things that people think about becoming a merger specialist, and they're getting into this world of helping business owners buy other businesses, helping people get access to business financing, all the things that we do. I think there's a lot of intimidation about kind of starting to get into that world. I think people are comfortable with, oh, I'm going to start this drop shipping store. Or, there's a level of confidence it's pretty easy to have. I'm going to start this e-commerce.
Right.
What was that like initially for you? And did you feel intimidated? And how did you get over that intimidation?
Yeah, I think this is an important question. I was talking with a friend about this a couple days ago. I think to be even somewhat successful in whatever you do, you got to see some value in it at least. You got to see value in the work, in the effort, in what you're
Yeah,
doing for it to work out, you know? Because,
yeah,
like, as a broker, it takes a lot of cold calling, of outreaching, things like that. If you don't see value in a cold call, you're just not going to do it, you know? And
yeah,
so, and that goes with, I think, just being like a broker. So it's
yeah,
different than e-commerce and marketing, but I think if you can see value in reaching out to some owner, seeing if they want to buy business, if they want to sell a business, or to sell like a business, you can definitely start to find out that there's a lot of people out there that actually do, but it's not common for them to be asked that. So
yeah,
um, there's a
yeah.
big opportunity for it. That's all I can say.
There is definitely a big opportunity in it, especially right now. I think the other part is, I like that point of seeing value. I think the more you get really good at what you do, it's easy not to be intimidated because at the end of the day, hey, I'm bringing a lot of value to the table. But one of the things that you had to overcome is just being youthful. So, like what was that part like? Did you have people that, they meet you or see your face and they're like, oh my God, like you're gonna be able to sell my business? What was dealing with that like?
Yeah, I think you can see that in whether two ways. You know, you see being young as a big disadvantage to where, oh, this person wants me to be older, but there's a big advantage in being kind of young because if I kind of make it, if I mess up on a deal or if I mess up with an owner, they won't take it as hard because I'm young. But on the flip
Yeah,
side
it gave
though,
you a little runway with
yeah,
that,
yeah.
a little
If
leeway.
if I do well though and I kill it, then it's even better too.
Yeah,
So
it's
I feel
like,
like
oh my
yeah.
God.
So I feel like being young is definitely a big advantage, and I think a lot of people want to work with somebody who is a bit younger and a bit more passion for it too, you know. So I
Yeah,
think that definitely adds to it.
awesome. Well, I see a comment in here on one of the books that's on our reading list. So I think we'll go to a couple of these questions, but I think a good thing to give recommendations on is of our reading list when we go through our training, any of the books that we've recommended that have been great for you and that you've gotten a lot out of. And then I'll go to a couple of these and mention this last book, which is definitely one that I want to
Yeah.
recommend to people.
I would focus a lot on KKR. Um, yeah. So, well, what topic are we talking about?
Well,
The private
just
equity or investment banking?
the books. I like the KKR. I
Yeah,
know that
KKR.
you liked Predators Ball a lot. That
Yeah. So,
was a great one.
yeah. So I can say I would definitely focus a lot in terms of KKR and also on Drexel. There's a book on Drexel called Predator's Ball that is really good. And then there's a book called um with Lean, I think it's called. That's also very good too. Each of those books, I think, definitely paint a picture of what to expect in on different deals. Each of them focus their business on a certain strategy, and I think it's important that the the more that we can understand those, we can apply them in what we do as well. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
100%. So really quickly, if you're interested in becoming a part of Good Merger, here in a few weeks, we're going to open that up again. Feel free you can text the same number, but instead of saying deal flow, just say Good Merger. And we'll contact you once we start that application process. You can put in your app. All right, we'll go run through a couple of these. We're already at 17 minutes. I told you it'd be 15 to 20 minutes, Andrew. So we'll wrap up with some of these and get you back making money. I feel like every other day I'm getting, some kind of either approval of a deal from Andrew or closing on the deal. So I don't want to take up a lot of his time. His time is very valuable right now. This is Wallace. Wallace pops in and says, "What's up, Ace? Thanks for coming and checking in." Natasha, really great to see you. She says she's learning. That's what we're here for. So definitely appreciate that. Lamaria says, "Congrats, Andrew." So that was nice of him. This is the
Thank you.
book that I wanted to make sure we mentioned is Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun? And this is a book that's equally great as a read. And we've had clients that have gone through this process and that's in the recommended. You got it right
Yeah.
there. I love you. It's an amazing book. Whether you're white, black, whatever you are, you're going to learn a ton from this book. So definitely check that out. I don't know which part Carter was responding to here, but he says, "Yes, sir." Definitely appreciate that. And Wallace also said, "Great job." So I appreciate you coming in. We'll have to bring you back we'll kind of keep up with the story. So we'll definitely have you back on. Thanks for coming.
Superman, thank you again. It's fun time.
Awesome. All right, folks. That is Andrew. So one of our folks, I talked a little bit about him. So we were talking the other day, and I was like, "Man, I got to get you on to just show your face and let people know what you're up to." We've now got the other four people who made it through our application process for the first group of Good Merger brokers, and man, each one of them is very, very talented. So very excited to be working with them. They are starting this week. We're setting them up with appointments to make presentations to private equity funds. And so I'm excited to see how they do. I know they'll do really, really well. So if that's something you're interested in, reach out. You can text the same number. Just put Good Merger. If you're interested in Patreon, I've got a lot of stuff that we're doing there. So be sure to go and sign up. It's patreon.com/Ace Chapman, have a productive rest of the day. I know it's almost 4. What time is it here where I am? So still got a little time to make some magic happen.